approximately 4 years ago is when I really dove into the channeling world. I channeled some beforehand, but I wasn't fully sold on the idea of channeling. As a left brain analytical person, I felt like I needed things that were more verifiable, with more evidence and proof. And it took me a while to get comfortable with the idea of channeling, and of course, over time of practicing it, you get more validation and more validation and more integration, and it just becomes a part of reality. And it's a fascinating journey of mind expansion. So when I first started channeling full-time, the first two sources that came through me were Hathor and Jesus. Now, I grew up in Israel, so I actually had no real concept of Jesus and the Jesus consciousness. It was kind of a foreign concept to me. And Hathor, I had no idea who Hathor was. Slide, please. So when Hathor first presented herself to me, the name Hathor sounded like this male warrior, like Hathor. So I was very, very surprised when they or she came through me. It was a very flowy, very soft energy, very different than what I expected. And over time, the idea of what and who is Hathor have been gaining more and more layers in my understanding. Now, let me ask you, do you know who here have heard of Hathor? Something about half of you. So that's pretty good. Yeah. So let's see what you know about Hathor. Do you know any galactic origins of Hathor? No. So coming through me, as I said, for me it feels like a very soft, very flowy. That's why often I say she when I talk about Hathor. But really Hathor is not a singular. It's a them, they, and they've originated in the Sirius star system. And we know the name Hathor from ancient Egypt. In ancient Egypt, we know her as a goddess. So again, you have that feminine side. And even more so as the archetypal mother. She was the mother to all the other gods. In fact, one of her depictions in ancient Egypt is of a cow. And the reason for that is because it said that she nursed all the other gods, all her milk. That's why she is the mother of all. As I said, when she comes to me, it's this soft, feminine, and when we ask for our identity from the beginning, the identity that was given to us for Hathor is a pathway of the divine feminine. And in fact, the name Hathor is only one name. So you may know the being Kuan Yin, or Aphrodite, or Venus. So these are different names that different cultures gave to the same essence of a divine feminine force. I don't remember what's the next slide, so we can go and see. Okay. So why Hathor now? There are many reasons why Hathor is coming through me, and I'm sure through many other people, even if they're not channelers. We all connect to different essences and integrate them and be influenced by them and grow in that way. So why Hathor now? So one is the rise of the divine feminine. It's extremely important in our society right now to gain a balance that was lost between the masculine and the feminine. The masculine has been ruling our world for a long time now. And the consequences are not great. Of course, Hathor would say everything is perfect. This is Yafi speaking. So right now, there's a rise of the feminine in order to balance that. And I can tell you that in my life, on a very personal way, to integrate that essence has been, for example, to learn to let go of control and go more with the flow. So that's a big, big part, a big essence of this divine feminine. Learning to go with the flow and to trust more deeply in yourself and the universe, so you don't have to feel like you have to control things. So what else? I don't want to talk too much about what their messages are. I'll touch a little bit because you can hear it directly from them. So another reason they're coming through right now is contact. So in times when humanity is going through intense changes, we tend to have more contact, more help from the other side. And the other side includes spirit and includes extraterrestrial and any other labels that you can give the other side. So these are important times, exciting times. They see it as very, very exciting. A lot of people ask about the difficulties that they're experiencing and that they're seeing around them. And they adjust that a lot in terms of the perspective and different reactions to change. And yes, and Hathor, as the mother of all, is also related to Mother Nature. And that's another thing that a lot of people are noticing right now in their lives, and I've noticed in my life, especially since I would say 2020, when the world has shut down. We had more opportunities to connect to nature like never before. And nature can be this general beauty, right? But it can also be very specific, plants and animals. And our connection and as a continuation, as we are part of nature, also has to do a lot with our consciousness evolving at this time. So all of this goes back to inner work. We're talking about humanity shifting, the earth going through transformation, but as we know and as we hear again and again and again, it really all starts within. So it all goes back to inner work. And what does inner work mean, really? It all goes back to love. So inner work means learning to love yourself in more authentic, genuine ways. Love all your parts. And again, each one of these topics could be covered over hours and hours and hours. But I'm just going to give you tiny, tiny points of some of the main messages. Also, in my book, Conversations with the Earth, that you can find on Amazon, I have a lot of different perspectives talking specifically about the Earth and humanity going through the shift and going through these changes. And it's very interesting to hear and receive different perspectives. So again, I'll just give you an example. So I open with a chapter from fire, channeling fire consciousness. And the fire consciousness talks a lot about the cycles of creation and destruction. And a lot of what we're seeing right now is destruction of old systems. And that's a lot of the suffering that we're seeing, of the upheaval that we're seeing. And the consciousness of fire really comes to remind us that this cycle is one cycle. There is no creation of the new without the destruction of the old. And it's just a different way to see the system as a whole. I'll give you another example from the wind. So wind consciousness, one of the points of wisdom that the wind consciousness has brought is that all these changes are like a tornado. And it's all feels like chaos. However, if we're able to choose the path of least resistance and allow the tornado and the craziness to swirl us upward, with the least amount of kicking and screaming and resisting, we're going to make it all the way to the top, from where the view is beautiful. So there are all kind of bits of perspectives and wisdom that different elements can give us. I have a chapter from the trees, and it gets wilder. The moon, Andromeda, Zetas, and the hybridization program. But it's all about what we're going through right now. As grounded or as woo-woo, I've been in love with that word lately. As you take it, it all goes back to the same principles and the same perspective of these exciting times that we're going through right now. My book, Conversations with Hathor, is coming out hopefully next month. where I really focus on the messages from Hathor, including her identity, what she says she says about themselves, and everything they have to share with us. Okay, yes. How can you hear more from Hathor other than here? I have weekly Zoom channeling, and you can join. I keep it very affordable, and that's a great way to be a part of the conversation. I do some light language, which I'm going to mention, and I channel verbally messages from Hathor, like we're going to do here. And just like here, will be a great opportunity for you to join the conversation, to actually ask questions yourself and feel that energy yourself. Okay, so let me touch a little bit about light language. So how many people here, I'm hoping most of you know about light language? Okay, great. So Hathor and Isis are the main sources for me when I channel light language. Now, Hathor usually does field tuning. That's their terminology. That's different tones and tuning and chants, sometimes whole temple chants. But the tuning and the tones are here to interact with your energy field. So what it does, it first aligns you and then amplifies your energy field. And once you're aligned and amplified, you're all amplified. And now you start vibrating in coherence with each other. So there's this overlap of the energy. And then when the energy is overlapped, it increases even more. So that's what field tuning does. And the light language of Isis, when she speaks, I see it inside as this light that comes through the words and weaves around usually the spine, but not only the spine. It also works a lot with the heart and with the head, but often weaves around the spine and does different things. It's very interesting. And I love to hear people's reactions, because often people that previously were not able to or didn't think they could feel energy, feel the energy of Isis and Hathor. So it's really exciting. Okay. Any questions for me? Yafi? Yes.
Are you familiar with the Sophia Code, the book that has both those characters in it?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say that prior to channeling Hathor, I was very, very not history-oriented. I'm more present and future-oriented. So I was not familiar at all with the mythology, with the characters. Even in terms of channeled material, I really love the Seth material. But other than that, I wasn't really familiar. Oh, and also Living with Joy. But other than that, I wasn't really familiar with channeled material. I wasn't really into it. So most of the information that came through me has both the purity and the ignorance of someone that did not have a lot of previous knowledge about these topics. Yes?
What is your opinion of the raw materials?
I would probably have more opinion if I knew it better. As I just mentioned, I don't really consume other channeled material. I didn't before I started channeling. And once I did, obviously my interest increased, but I kind of liked the idea of coming from a blank slate. So I'm not a big consumer of other channeled material. With the exception of Lisa Roth. Any other questions?
So you say that she is they.
Yes.
Are they all women?
I don't know. That may be a good question for Hathor. Can I have water, please? Okay, great. So, what I'm going to do, so I'm also a semi-conscious channeler. I go inward. It's a pretty quick process, usually just a matter of a few seconds. So I go inward and I just feel the flow and I connect. And I allow. And we're going to start with some light language. So that will be probably Hathor and Isis. And then they will go ahead and move on to the verbal transmission, where I will channel verbal messages, usually from Hathor. I do have other sources, but I believe Hathor is going to come through. Just in case we have any surprises, I also channel a fairy named Viola. She is a blast. There's a Lyran council that's been coming through lately more. So there are other sources, but I do think Hathor is here and ready to go. So just in case we're surprised with some other sources. So after they share some messages, I would love to open it for questions. So you could ask them questions directly. So please give me 10 minutes before we're done, so I know to open it for questions. Okay? Are we good to go? Any questions? Okay. Blessings. It is Hathor here, as you expected, and some of you wished. We heard the inner call and your desire, and we are so appreciative of your openness and desire to welcome us into your space. We invite you to close your eyes, settle into your bodies so you can feel the attunement and the blessing offered to you today in this moment in time. We will begin. Eraniho Ekarianiahom. Urunahironnahei. Heraniak ariastuma. Huraniak arastianana hareakatom arayana hak arastia. Huruna hama yak arianata hak a. Hurania hamma. Hum. Ekarian nearaham. Ukeria hamaho. Herahianiratomaha. Ekaria humahoraha. Ekaria hom. Allow the energy to settle down. The heart expansion may remain, but ground yourself to your seat and to your ground. Very well. We may continue. Once again, we offer you our blessings. It is wonderful to be in this space. All of you coming together in this way creates a specific energy pattern, a pattern that is quite advantageous to humanity as a whole, to the group present here today, and to each and every one of you individually. And indeed, it may appear differently depending on the individual receiving this transmission and integrating it into their own life. We will begin by addressing that transformation that is currently happening within you and all around you. Often you hear us and other sources talk about the changes that are happening around your world right now. However, as you may have noticed, changes are happening in your personal life as well. So when dates are being brought up, as in 2012, which was indeed a significant year for humanity, 2020, which indeed is a significant year for humanity, and 2024, the year that you have been experiencing in your local time, is another important year for humanity. Now, we can talk about humanity. We can talk about the consciousness shift that is happening, the changes that you're seeing around you. But at the same time, we invite you to look into the changes that have been happening and are happening in your individual lives. As you look back at these years, those specific years that we mentioned, most of you, approximately 80% of you, can identify specific transformations and changes that happen within your own personal life, your own personal world. These are often indicative through interpersonal changes such as marriages, divorces, separations, and changes in close family structures. Also, in your interests, as the energies shift around you and within you, different interests awaken within you, different ideas, different inspiration. These are a part of the changes you can notice internally, especially when we talk about dates that are milestones for humanity. You must remember that you are a part of humanity. You are the building blocks of humanity. So when big conversations take place, remember that the significance, an utmost significance, is for your inner personal journey that then goes outward and connects to others. Another way these shifts can appear in your life is actually moving locations. So moving to a different home, moving to a different city, different state, different country. Because we're talking about big changes here, are common and are even more common on these specific years, these specific dates. And as you notice in your own life, as these changes are happening and accelerating, life is very interesting. It is very difficult to be bored nowadays with all that is happening, and that is a good thing. So, we see these times of change as very, very exciting. But of course, it's easy for us to say, as we are observing you from a more expansive perspective. Now, not to say that we are not a part of your own essence, a part of your own humanity, because we are. This may be a confusing idea, since other aspects of our identity, as you know, Assyrian collective, the divine feminine, different goddesses, priestesses, and deities, and yet here we are saying that we are a part of humanity. And it is so. So just as you are asked to reach out to different aspects, different parts of yourself, and feel them as your own, as a part of you, and you are a part of them, a part of it. So it is true for us. Hence, our identity, our essence, is not separate from your beautiful Mother Earth or from your beautiful humanity. However, we do hold a different perspective than most humans who are experiencing your existence in a very physical, concrete way. So we have a slight, you may say, advantage here of both being a part of humanity, but also being able to see, to observe to experience as an observer, as your specific journey is an awareness of ours rather than our whole beingness. While as a human, as you know, you arrive at Earth and immediately the veil of forgetfulness envelops you. As a result, you are now stranded, or seemingly stranded as a physical human, alone in the world. Of course, it is not so. You are never untethered from the One. You are never really disconnected. It is merely your awareness that is clouded. However, these clouds are not heavy storm clouds. In fact, now, they are more than ever in your lifetime. The sky is clearing up. There are still clouds, but they're a little more airy, a little thinner, which gives you then the opportunity to learn to look up to the sky and see the beauty beyond the clouds. And one of the reasons this beauty is so magnificent, it is because it includes your connection to One, your connection to Spirit, and your connection to each other in ways that right now you can only imagine. But it is very real and becoming clearer and clearer to many of you in this room. One of the reasons this time is so exciting for humanity is because of this phenomena, this thinning of the veil, this clearing up of the sky. You get to experience your multidimensional nature more than you could have previously. And yes, we're talking as humanity, but also, as we mentioned in our opening, to each and every one of you individually. Now, take just that and imagine that every person on earth is experiencing the raising of vibration, the opening up. The ones who are ready for it, the ones that have been anticipating it and are calling it into their lives, are experiencing it as beautiful growth. It comes with challenges like every growth. It comes with questions. It brings up more questions, as it should. But at the same time, you are feeling inside of you the growing awareness of the beauty of humanity. The growing awareness of your own worth, your own value, your own inner spark as a connected being of this beautiful universe and beautiful Mother Earth you are a part of. This fact alone is sufficient to appreciate the beauty of the transformation that is currently happening. So we invite you to trust in your heart, because your heart has wisdom beyond the mind. Now, we do not say that the mind is not important. You have a mind to use it. You have a mind to utilize. As long as you don't allow it to overpower the whole system and becoming the sole leading mechanism. So your mind is a beautiful thing. Your brain is a beautiful device, beautiful antenna, and beautiful generator. But the heart is the key. And again, many of you are learning it in a very personal and individualized way of what it means to awaken the heart. What does it mean to follow the heart's wisdom? This will look different to each and every one of you. But we invite you all to enjoy and appreciate this transformation that is taking place within your own life as addition to humanity. Now, we feel we have touched on a topic that brings up a lot of questions in people. So we will allow the space to open now if you would like to ask us any questions. Because the channel's eyes are closed, we invite a person to be in charge of taking people's questions one at a time.
That can be me. Yes.
Is there a way to translate light language?
Yes, there is. So, yes and no, we will say. So, some of the transmission is energetic, and meaning, although we could assign words to it, would not really capture the full meaning of the transmission, because the meaning is not only informational, not only verbal. In fact, in this case, it's mostly unverbal and mostly energetic. However, you have words that can include can capture certain aspects of the transmission. So we will give you an example, the word love. It is a very, very, very big word, big concept. It includes a lot within it. Should we give you a teaching, a transmission about love, we can just say that it's about love, and that alone can include worlds of experiences. On the other hand, there are parts of light language that are more verbal and are more informational based. Those are easier to translate. Even in those cases, it's not word for word, phrase for phrase, because light language is more expansive than verbal language. So when you speak in your language, when you speak English, it's also multidimensional because you have the words that you're hearing, but there's also the frequency of the voice, which has its own impact. There's also the emotions and the energy that are coming through with the words. And you may have your own images and perception and experiences that it triggers within you. So even the English language and other verbal languages are multidimensional. However, light language is even more so. And the reason is that there are different reasons, but you may say that light language is a more direct verbal expression of actual light, of light codes. And because it is a more direct expression, it doesn't go through as many filters as the English language or other languages. As a result, it includes more of the dimensions that are coming directly from its source. So some translation is possible, however, it will never be exactly one-to-one translation. And we will give you a little tidbit of information that this channel recently learned. She has begun putting together specific phrases and words in terms of their meaning, although, as we said, it's not one-to-one. And one of the words that comes up a lot, you may have heard it in light language, and we are sure that you know it as a mantra, is Om. And we will say it can be pronounced in a variety of ways, but for the ease of this conversation, we'll just say Om. So, Om has a meaning. It is actually a word, and the meaning of Om is love. Which is why it is the most elemental and fundamental mantra. As you say Om to yourself and to others, you are evoking divine love, ultimate connectedness. Let us, in fact, Om together 3 times. And let us feel the frequency that it creates and rises within the room. Do you feel the electricity in the room? This is the beauty that your hearts create when they resonate in coherence. And nothing leads to coherence more than love. We invite you to experimenting with chanting alone and together in your lives, to learn to feel subtle energies and to attune yourself with the shifting energies while moving them towards love, towards the sturdy center that is unchanging. We can take another question.
I have a question that I think the group will be interested in.
Yes.
Many of us tomorrow night will be participating in a CE5 ceremony to try to make contact. When we humans do these ceremonies, do you hear these calls in your realm? And if so, can you help send us a sign tomorrow?
Yes. So of course we are aware of those events. We, just as you know about them in advance, we do too. And yes, there is preparation and there is celebration by many, many beings that love to participate in such events. Now, let us just say that you are not trying to make contact, as you are in fluid, constant contact. What you are doing is coming as a group to enhance the energies and allow yourselves to experience and what you may call manifest, which is really bringing into physical reality, contact. So contact is already there and present. However, you coming together with the intention and the coherence of making the contact more concrete is making it so. So there are many beings that, in your terminology, if you insert time to it, you can say they're already there. They have their blankets and chairs ready. And they're making a big, big circle around the group that is going to be there, and they are ready. Now the question is, what are you going to be able to perceive, both individually and as a group? That we will leave for you to find out. However, if you have more specific questions about contact, or even about the specific beings that are gathering and have gathered and are excited for this event, we may answer those as well.
Any other questions?
Hathor,
Yes,
you are many?
yes we are.
Are you all feminine?
You may say so. We are reminding you that even the concepts of feminine and masculine are human terminology. So there is a trickiness to answering such question as you may say as a divine feminine. What does that mean, divine feminine? It means it's a balanced form of feminine essence. So if you look at it that way, you may say that we're all feminine. However, let us ask you, are all men in your society masculine?
No.
No. Are all women very feminine?
No.
No. So yes, we are all feminine, but what does that really mean? Even in humanity terms, if you put together a very feminine group, it may have more women than men, but it's not necessarily all women. It's not made of only women, and not all women would fit into that circle. So, as you can tell, just by this example, it is a little more complex than that. However, yes, we embody the feminine aspect of divinity, of creation, of your own nature. So in that way, you may say we are all feminine.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi, Hathor.
Greetings.
Hi, I would like to share a quick experience of what just occurred to me that I'm hoping you can shed some more light on. This past hour, or how many ever minutes you were doing your thing, just went in like a second. And I remember you, I guess, toning initially, and then I remember the very last bits of you speaking.
Yes.
I would say I fell asleep, but I really did not, because I was here hearing you, but yet I awoke from, I'm like, oh, I was sleeping, but I really wasn't sleeping, so what was really happening?
Yes. You were experiencing the closest proximity your conscious mind can experience in terms of our essence, our frequency. So our frequency, as you know, we are multidimensional, as are you. And your conscious mind is usually tied to one dimension. And as the frequency travels between the dimensions, your consciousness may travel with it. and you may experience spaciness. Some may experience tiredness, and some may experience exhilaration. Different bodies, different personalities react differently. However, what you are describing is not that uncommon, and it is your experience of your own frequency expanding in that way to approximate ours. Does this answer your question?
Yes, and because it almost feels like a lot of time has passed by days, but yet it feels instantaneous and with a snap of a finger.
Yes.
And I feel energized right now for some reason. Like I feel like I slept for like 5 centuries.
Maybe you have.
It really feels like where are we? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Hathor. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. I have a question regarding the fact that, like, within the last year, I feel such a call to help bring in the divine feminine. And when I, tune in and I tune into the energy, I'm always asking, like, I'm a doer, so I feel like, what do I need to do? Is it more of a doing, or is it more of a state of being?
Yes. We feel that you know the answer, and that is why you're asking the question. Indeed, the doing part is the left brain, the masculine part, which is valuable. However, just as you mentioned, being, receiving, holding space is the feminine aspect of it. Now, in order to create changes in your life, in your world, you have to take actions, you have to do. However, the beingness, especially, the beingness comes first, especially for balanced masculinity, balanced doing. So it's not that you're asked not to take actions. However, in order to connect to your feminine aspect, indeed, you must learn to go within and first hold the space that you want to create in the world.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Maybe one more in the back.
Hi, Hathor.
Greetings.
I feel really honored to be speaking to you, especially since Cleopatra was a devotee to you. I wanted to know a little bit more about the connection between Isis and the goddess Kali, and also the ancient pyramids and the frequencies that they hold, and any secrets about that you could share.
You just asked us enough questions to fill another presentation. Okay, which one should we take? Let us address Isis. So, there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconceptions about Isis, and we will say that Isis is a part of our essence. So, if you consider us a we, Isis is but one representation of that we. And she does have her own personality, her own essence, but she also comes from that core divine feminine. Now, you mentioned the goddess Kali, and we will say that indeed there is a relationship between the essence of Hathor, which includes Isis, and Kali. This is another example of different names that are given to the same deities, the same essences that come through in different cultures. Every culture has their own perspective, their own beliefs, and not only that, when we manifest physically, which we do, we manifest physically differently depending on the culture, depending on the era, depending on the individuals that we're coming into communication and communion with. We hope that, again, to answer your question, we will leave the pyramids and other fascinating topics for future conversations. We will end here by reminding you that it is our honor to be here with you just as much as it is yours. It is our pleasure and excitement and privilege to be here with you right now, just as much as you feel, if not more. We are thrilled to be a part of this in such a conscious way. And we invite you to continue this work within yourself, in your life, in connection with others. Remember the joy of this time. If you feel yourself sinking down, merely think about the excitement, that perspective of having a more open and connected humanity and individuals. We'll leave you with this thought, with our gratitude and our love, and we will return you your Yafi.
Join us for our 10th anniversary celebration during our 2025 Sedona Ascension Retreat, celebrating a new humanity uniting and a new earth arising, featuring the world's most renowned spiritual teachers, best-selling authors, and award-winning performers. Our retreat includes a dozen indoor workshops and 8 outdoor journeys into Sedona's vortex sites, as well as a Native American performance by world champions, the Sinqua family. Enjoy on-stage presentations.
All crystallized seed at the center of that orb of light is your physical mind.
So today we'll be talking about religion versus spirituality, because I think there needs to be a clear line drawn between the two to get a better understanding.
This path that we're all on has been well mapped. The science is established, and what we are doing today is recovering it.
I am your host, Suzanne Ross, and I invite you to join us for our 10th anniversary celebration. Just visit SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. Reserve your seats today. I'll see you in Sedona.
I love every single one of you with all of my heart. I mean it. I mean it. I love you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Thank you so, so, so much.